You've heard it before. Addiction is about willpower, self-control, maybe even bad luck. But what if I told you that the real culprit is something far more insidious? Loneliness. Yes, loneliness isn't just an uncomfortable feeling. It's a trap, a breeding ground for addiction. Think you're immune? Think again. In a world where we're more connected than ever, we're actually more isolated. And it's this isolation that quietly fuels addiction, gnawing away at our mental well-being. Are you trapped in this cycle? Let's find out, and more importantly, let's talk about how to break free. Addiction isn't just about the brain's wiring or neurotransmitters. Deeply rooted in something more human, connection. When we're isolated, cut off from meaningful relationships, addiction finds fertile ground. Now let's be real. In a world where discipline, stoicism, and philosophy often push us towards self-improvement, easy to forget the importance of connection. Personal development and self-knowledge are essential, but without human bonds, our focus on growth can lead to a lonely path. For instance, consider someone practicing digital minimalism. It's all good until digital detox turns into social isolation. Take Nietzsche's or Schopenhauer's existentialism, where the struggle is more about finding meaning in a vast, indifferent universe. But if you strip away the philosophy and get down to the basics, it's clear that connection is key. Imagine trying to optimize your existence without any social skills. Pretty tough, right? Without those bonds, even the best self-improvement strategies fall flat. It's like building a house with no foundation. You can have all the fancy decor, but it won't stand for long. Think about it. Dopamine fasting or focusing on essentialism might boost your mental well-being, but what happens when you're alone with your thoughts? Depression and anxiety can creep in, making you wonder if all this self-development is worth it. Here's where a little proactivity comes in handy. Reach out, build relationships, and remember that self-improvement isn't just a solo journey. Be a better person, yes, but don't do it alone. So, how do we fix this? It's not just about reading motivational speeches or following the wisdom of Marco Aurelio. It's about reconnecting with others. When you optimize your existence, include those around you. By fostering these connections, you'll find that your personal success and mental well-being improve hand in hand. But hold on, before we dive too deep, there's more to the story. Let's take a closer look at how an old rat experiment ties into this discussion. In the famous rat park experiment, scientists discovered something surprising. Rats in isolation became addicted to cocaine-laced water, while those in a stimulating environment with other rats didn't. This experiment flipped the script on addiction, showing that it's not just about the substance, it's about the environment. Now, let's tie this back to our own lives. In our pursuit of self-improvement and personal growth, how often do we isolate ourselves, thinking it's the price of success? Imagine this. You're focused on self-development, diving into digital minimalism, and optimizing your life. But just like those isolated rats, if you're not careful, you might find yourself addicted. Not to substances, but to the solitude comes with it. Personal success should include a balance, where social connections aren't sacrificed for the sake of discipline or stoicism. Essentialism teaches us to focus on what's important, but let's not forget that connection is essential too. Now, picture a different scenario. What if, like the rats in a stimulating environment, we surrounded ourselves with positive influences, people who push us to grow, but also provide the social support we need? This kind of environment is the antidote to addiction. When we improve social skills and build strong relationships, we create our own rat park. This is where self-knowledge and self-development come full circle. It's not just about introspection, but also about who we share our journey with. So, what's the takeaway here? Just like in the experiment, our environment plays a crucial role in our mental well-being and personal growth. If we focus on growth without considering the company we keep, we're setting ourselves up for failure. It's time to think about how our surroundings affect our journey. But there's more. Men, in particular, face unique challenges when it comes to addiction and connection. Let's dig into that next. Men are statistically more prone to addiction, and it's not just by chance. Societal norms often push men towards isolation, emphasizing self-reliance and stoicism. While these traits can be beneficial for personal development, they can also lead to a lack of connection. This isolation is a breeding ground for addiction, as men are 3 to 4 times more likely to develop addictive behaviors than women. Imagine striving for self-improvement but finding yourself trapped in a cycle of loneliness. This is the harsh reality many men face. Now, consider how the philosophy of Stoicism, often adopted by men for its emphasis on self-control, can backfire. When taken to extremes, it can lead to emotional suppression and ultimately isolation. Think about it. If you're constantly pushing yourself to be disciplined and self-sufficient, where does that leave room for vulnerability or seeking help? This disconnect between personal growth and emotional well-being can be dangerous, especially when it comes to battling addiction. Let's bring it down to a real-life scenario. Picture a man who's focused on optimizing his existence, practicing digital detox, and improving his mental well-being. On the surface, it sounds like he's got it all figured out, but underneath, the lack of meaningful connections can lead to anxiety, depression, and eventually addiction. It's like trying to build a house without a solid foundation. No matter how well you decorate, it's bound to crumble. So, how can men combat this issue? It's not just about reading motivational speeches or diving into personal development books. It's about breaking the cycle of isolation and reconnecting with others. Whether it's through improving social skills, seeking therapy, or simply opening up to a friend, these small steps can make a big difference. But there's more to this story. Let's explore how something as simple as a hug can help alleviate this struggle. You might not think much of it, but a simple hug can work wonders when it comes to fighting addiction and loneliness. Touch starvation is a real thing, especially in today's digital age where physical contact is becoming less common. For men who often struggle with emotional expression, something as basic as a hug can break down barriers of isolation. Imagine the power of human touch. A warm embrace can ease anxiety, lower depression, and build connections that are vital for mental well-being. Think about this. In the world of self-improvement and personal growth, we often overlook the importance of physical contact. We focus on digital detox and optimizing our lives, but what about optimizing our relationships? A hug isn't just a gesture. It's a reminder that we're not alone. It's a simple yet profound way to combat the isolation that can lead to addiction. For those practicing stoicism or discipline, it might seem trivial, but this small act can have a big impact. Let's get practical. Next time you're feeling overwhelmed or on the brink of isolation, try reaching out. Literally. Hug a friend, a family member, or even a pet. It might sound silly, but that physical connection can shift your mindset. If you're someone who's focused on personal development, improving social skills, or becoming a better person, don't underestimate the power of a hug. It's a tool for growth that's as essential as any motivational speech or self-help book. So why does this matter? Because in the journey of self-improvement, it's easy to get lost in the pursuit of personal success while neglecting the human connections that sustain us. A hug is a simple reminder that we need each other. There's more to explore. Let's dive into how men's struggles with emotional expression play into this narrative of addiction and isolation. Men often face unique struggles when it comes to expressing emotions and forming connections. Societal expectations teach them to be strong, stoic, and independent, traits that can lead to emotional suppression. This isn't just about avoiding tears or vulnerability. It's about a deeper issue where men find it difficult to reach out for help, even when they're drowning in loneliness. In the world of personal development, this struggle is particularly poignant, as men are encouraged to focus on self-improvement while ignoring the importance of emotional well-being. Consider this. A man may be well-versed in philosophy, practicing essentialism, or mastering self-discipline, but without the ability to express his emotions, these achievements can feel hollow. The internal conflict of wanting to improve while battling anxiety and depression can be overwhelming. Imagine trying to optimize your existence but being unable to connect with others. It's like running on a treadmill with no end in sight. Let's put this into perspective with a real-life scenario. Picture a man who's committed to self-development, reading Nietzsche or Schopenhauer, practicing digital minimalism, and even engaging in dopamine fasting. On the outside, he appears to be thriving, but on the inside, he's isolated. struggling to form meaningful relationships. This lack of connection can lead to addiction, as he seeks solace in substances or behaviors that temporarily ease the pain of loneliness. Though how can men overcome this struggle? It starts with breaking the silence and challenging societal norms. Encouraging open conversations about mental well-being and emotional expression is crucial. Whether it's through therapy, support groups, or simply talking to a friend, these steps can make a difference. But this is just one part of the equation. Let's now explore how the changing dynamics of society are impacting loneliness and addiction, particularly among women. As society evolves, so do the dynamics of loneliness and addiction. While men have traditionally been more prone to these struggles, recent reports suggest that women are increasingly experiencing loneliness at similar rates. This shift may be due to various factors, including changing roles in society, increased career pressures, and the digital age's influence on social connection. As women face these new challenges, the gap in addiction rates between genders could start to close, bringing new complexities to the conversation around mental well-being and personal growth. Think about how this plays out in the context of self-improvement. Women, like men, are focusing more on personal success and development, embracing concepts like digital minimalism and essentialism. But as they navigate these paths, the same risks of isolation and loneliness emerge. Picture a woman who's striving to optimize her existence, yet finds herself disconnected from the support systems that were once more naturally available. This disconnection can lead to anxiety, depression, and potentially addiction. Consider this real-life scenario: a woman balancing career, family, and personal growth, all while trying to improve her social skills and maintain mental well-being. In the past, her role might have been more community-oriented, but now, the pressures of modern life have shifted her focus inward. As she pursues self-development, the lack of strong social ties can make her just as vulnerable to addiction as her male counterpart. This evolving dynamic highlights the need for new approaches to personal development that prioritize connection and mental health. So what's next? As we see these changing dynamics, it becomes clear that addressing loneliness and addiction requires a more holistic approach, one that considers the unique challenges faced by both men and women. But there's still more to uncover, particularly how societal expectations contribute to isolation and what we can do to change that. Let's dive into how these expectations shape our experiences and what steps we can take to foster healthier connection. Societal expectations have a powerful impact on how we connect with others, or don't. From an early age, we're taught certain behaviors that often lead to isolation, especially for men, who are expected to be strong and independent. This isolation isn't just physical, it's emotional and psychological too. As we strive for personal success, self-improvement, and mental well-being, these societal pressures can push us further into loneliness, creating a perfect storm for addiction. Think about the concept of discipline, often celebrated in personal development. While discipline is crucial for growth, it can also become a barrier. If you're constantly focused on optimizing your existence, practicing stoicism, and embracing essentialism, you might end up isolating yourself from others, thinking that self-reliance is the ultimate goal. But this mindset, shaped by societal expectations, can lead to anxiety, depression, and even addiction. Consider a man who's deeply invested in self-development, reading philosophy, engaging in digital detox, and improving his social skills. Despite his efforts, he feels increasingly isolated because societal expectations taught him that asking for help or seeking connection is a sign of weakness. This isolation only deepens his struggles, making it harder to break free from the cycle of loneliness and addiction. It's a stark reminder that personal growth should include emotional and social well-being. So what can we do? It's time to challenge these societal norms and create a culture that values connection just as much as individual success. Encouraging open dialogue about mental health, promoting emotional expression, and building supportive communities are crucial steps in this direction. But the journey doesn't end here. Let's explore how this shift in societal expectations could lead to more balanced and healthier approaches to personal development for everyone.